Anonymous. What did they do? Well, they really wanted to hack, attack, and destroy Scientology for trying to curtail the free speech of anyone. And the beauty of it is, and their strength came in numbers, but it also came in that you didn't know who they were. Well, my wife, Michelle, was a member of Anonymous, and that's where I met her at a Scientology protest. I don't know how many years ago was that?
Basically 10 years ago, yeah.
How old were you?
I was just about to turn 19 years old.
So you were legal?
Yes, I was.
Okay, all right, good. Good, because I really, really, really liked you in that little outfit you were wearing. Can you describe that and why you were wearing that at a Scientology protest?
Yes, actually. I was wearing a very skimpy outfit. It was a sailor costume, and I claimed I was part of the Sea Orgy, not part of the Sea Org.
And?
We met. And
we met. You came right up to me. And I was like, who is this living doll? And I had no idea at the time that several years later we would meet again. You tapped me on the shoulder via social media. And come March or April? You're going to kill me. March or April are we celebrating 4 years?
August.
Oh! Man. You're not good with these anniversaries, Mark. Your own, Anonymous.
Well, it's been a whirlwind.
And also at the beginning, you said it was 2016, so I just want people to know this is a brand new show.
Yeah.
Can I get you some coffee?
The Gray Zone.
It really is.
The whole title of the show is starting to make a lot more sense.
It's the principles and the abstract ideas that are important, Mark, not the time.
Yeah. So in other words, we separated ourselves from the movement, and we got together and we got married, and it's all hugs and kisses ever since. That said, I think that we did share some interests, and I wanted to kind of, I'm happy if there's any response to this show and there's any questions or interaction. Carl can tell you how you can play with us and let us know what you think. We could discuss Scientology all day long, but let's just let it, suffice to say, it's an evil, criminal, totalitarian mind control cult. And what we witnessed was there weren't many numbers, there weren't many protesters at this 10th anniversary of Anonymous going ballistic on Scientology, but the internet is listening. They're watching, and that could mean thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people. When I met Michelle, one of the things, besides the fact that she just likes to, point out how crazy, this world is, in her mind's eye view, is, and it's taken me a while to realize this, Michelle was raised in a cult, and I couldn't say that because I so much want to be the guy who is like, yeah, Scientology is a cult, all right, Unitarian Church, cult, I know these are cults. Mormonism, my wife was a Mormon, she was raised in the Mormon church, and I was like, I'll just turn the other cheek, live and let live. I want to be that guy, that's not judgmental. Well, in the years we've spent together, I've come to realize that Mormonism really is a cult. And, my wife, Michelle, you've risen above it. But how do you see Mormonism as compared to Scientology or any other cult?
Well, it's kind of hard to say. There's a lot of parallels between Scientology and Mormonism. Cults operate kind of in the same way. So it's basically you have your social needs met. You have everything in your life scripted. All of your time is taken with the religion, and basically you have these positions that you have to have. I mean, cleaning the church is one of the jobs. Mm-hmm. And it takes you away from your family for hours. So even if you have a full-time job, if you're called into something like a job like a bishop or the janitor or whatever, you are not spending time with your family, and that really takes away from a lot of other things. But as for Mormonism being a cult, and for people recognizing Mormonism as a cult, they would like you to believe that they're harmless and, oh, it's just a really funny white boy kind of thing. But it really is a dangerous, controlling, mind control cult, and it takes away your money. It takes away your family.
I was going to say it takes away your money.
Yes.
Like, give me some numbers there.
Well, you have to spend 10% of your income to Mormonism, or else you can't go to the temple. And if you don't go to the temple, you won't be able to see your family in heaven.
Right. And another thing about Mormonism is, let's just cut right to it. Honey, show me on this doll where the bishop touched you. You know, what goes on? I mean, what goes on with the quote-unquote clergy? I mean, can you give me some of their secrets? Because they're certainly spilling out right now in the political arena with Donald. Let me frame it up this way for you. Donald Trump, his chief advisor, a guy named Bob Porter.
Yes.
Rob Porter?
Rob Porter.
Okay, just stepped down. Okay? For accusations that he battered not one wife, but two of his former wives. I think he's into his third marriage right now. No.
A relationship.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
Yes, actually, no. He's having a relationship with Hope Hicks, another Trump functionary. Poor thing, you know. But anyway, the idea that he did it not once, not twice, beat his wife, is that something, you know, in Scientology, David Miscavige, he beats his staff, you know, as a matter of routine. That kind of brutality goes on. What is it about Mormon guys, those guys in the crisp white shirts and the smiles, and I don't drink coffee, I don't drink tea. What is it that makes them, A, beat their wives, and B, think they can get away with it?
It all stems from Mormonism being stuck in the 50s. So women aren't given much opportunity to have any power whatsoever in the church. Men are basically put up on a pedestal saying, oh, you can speak to God directly if you're a bishop or you're a stake president or you're a prophet or whatever. And so they kind of feel like they're godly themselves. And so they have this kind of way of thinking that everything that they do is from God. So they can beat their wives and think, oh, I'm doing this because God told me to. And if a wife goes to the bishop and says, hey, my husband is beating me, the bishop is basically trying to keep you in the church and keep you with your husband, because if they tell you how to spot what abuse is, you're just going to leave the church because the church is abusive itself. So what happens is that the men and the women get married very, very early. That's a very common thing to do. And once you're married in the temple, you are sealed to them for time and all eternity. So if you leave them, you are basically turning your back on eternity. You're turning your back on getting into the highest level of heaven, which is the celestial kingdom. And it's very hard for women to leave, since they're basically told to stay inside the home and pop out children, and not have a job whatsoever. So women are trapped in marriages. They are basically getting married at 19 years old and, you know, popping out children. So they're trapped in these marriages, and there's nothing you can do. And so men kind of go with that and start beating their wives and start, I guess, abusing them emotionally, physically, you know, whatever. I mean, I'm kind of...
Yeah, no, it's an emotional
It is
thing.
really
Absolutely.
very emotional.
And, I want you to know, and I'll remind you again, that you're safe now.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And you really have to, embrace that. Nobody's going to fuck with you. There are two things in my life that I care about. A, you, and B, my work.
Yes.
And fuck all else. I don't care. So that's two things I got to worry about. So you're safe. That said, tell us about the magic underwear.
Oh, geez, it's so disgusting. It's polyester, and when you walk into a Mormon church, you are hit immediately with the smell. It's just terrible. It really is. You sweat, and it goes nowhere.
Can you describe these vestments? Because I'm going to take you to one of your early horror moments.
So
your old man is wearing these vestments. He's sitting
Yes.
on the couch doing his thing with his leg.
no.
And did you or did you not see his
God.
ball sack plop out of his magic underwear?
My
If they
father-
were magic, why would a woman have to observe that?
Ta-da!
Yeah.
it was horrible. My father is a kind of weird kind of guy, and when I walked into his bedroom, he was basically just rowing his legs up in the air when he was just in his magical underwear, which are called garments, by the way. And they're basically long johns, but there's kind of a slit in them so that the men can, take their genitals out and pee or whatever.
Write your name
I
in
don't
the snow.
I don't know. I don't have a penis, but
God. Yes,
yeah,
I can
he was-
confirm that. Yeah.
he was
Sorry.
rowing his legs, and the split came open,
Wow.
and I saw his testicles, and I could not stop staring. I was shocked.
Oh my God.
I couldn't move. My father's testicles were right there, bouncing in the wind.
Oh my.
It wasn't pleasant.
I guess it's no surprise to anybody listening that to you might have represented a huge turning point for you. And if I saw
Yeah.
your father's nutsack, I'd be out the door real fast.
I was 12 years old. And
Oh,
I remember also staying on the topic of garments and testicles or whatever. I wanted to clean my bike one day. And I asked my Mom, do you have any sort of towel I can use to clean my bike? She gave me the crotch of my dad's garments to clean my bike with.
Oh.
And what happens with garments is that, they're sacred or whatever. And to make them less sacred when you're done using them, you cut the tags off or whatever. And so that's what she did. She just cut the crotch off of the garments and gave them to me, her 8-year-old daughter, to clean her bike with. Oh, here you go.
so glad you got out of that.
Yeah,
cult.
that was...
And I'm so glad that I've been educated enough to learn that, yeah, it is a cult, and I am cult sensitive. What does my shirt say?
It's a picture of L. Ron Hubbard, and it says, "We want you and your money."
That's essentially it. That about sums
Yeah.
it up right there. And I think Time Magazine put it best back in the day when they came out with their explosive expose called Cult of Greed and Power. That particular expose, which came before my spy story, Do You Want to Buy a Bridge, was... contentious to say the least, and Scientology thought they could go after Time Magazine, and they sued them. I mean, it took years. This was litigated in the court for years. Ultimately, of course, Time Magazine prevailed, but it cost them like almost $500 million to defend themselves against this cult. So they will wear you down with lawsuits. I always say, Scientology, unlike something like the old, if you remember, Synanon. It was kind of a rehab drug cult back in the day. Yeah. They ended up going down because one of their leaders took to one of their enemies and put a venomous snake in the guy's mailbox. So I always like to say Scientology is not a snake in the mailbox cult. as much as it is a litigious cult, and they will, if given